I want to write the next novel, the next anime, the next manga. So you put the pen to the paper, right? Or your hands on the keyboard, right? You put your hands on the keyboard and nothing comes to mind. I've been there, done that, right? Brings me back when I had to write code for programs. Because when you write code for programs, you sometimes have no idea what's going on, right? You have to like debug. And then sometimes you have to like stare at it. But this video, I'll show you how to fix it. How to get it so that you could write words that come to mind without needing to have a writing block. So you can reach new skies. I think you've heard of this at one point. This phrase of just start, write something. It's a really common phrase. I've heard this like thousands of times at this point. It works. The advice itself does work. But I feel like we could do better. So this time, on this video, I want to show you some new advice, some new tips and tricks on how to do it. Because I myself had this issue. And this is how I overcome it. So I'm going to look at 3 stages. When you do writing, you have 3 stages. Before writing, while writing, after writing. Before writing, just like in my video about boosting creativity, if you have not seen it, check the link in the description because I go really in depth on how to adjust your creativity. So one of the main aspects for creativity is, well, drumroll please, diet. It's all about diet. It's always about diet. So I've already delved really deep into this topic. So one of the main things that you have to understand is to avoid junk food. Like, don't eat it. Just get rid of it. Get rid of it. The reason behind this is very simple. Junk food has lots of sugar. So when you eat it, right, your brain is just jammed. You have so much energy in your brain, like so much energy that you can't concentrate. Not to mention, I feel like you've had this experience before where you eat a lot of food, a lot of it. When you eat a lot of food, you cannot concentrate. You feel sleepy, you feel groggy, just like in school. So it's the same thing here. Just avoid junk food. And one thing I found from self-experimentation, in fact, before I record this video, I actually do this, is that I would drink cold water or just water in general, and I'll put 2 pinches of salt. Now, you might be asking, why 2 pinches of salt? It's really interesting. Am I trying to fast track myself to having high cholesterol so I end up in the hospital? No, that's not what my goal here is. So, I have watched the Andrew Huberman podcast, which is basically a neurologist, right? He's talked about this. And he mentioned the reason why putting salt in water and drinking it in the morning can help. First of all, it improves your hydration. It lets you absorb more water. Now, that might be true or not, but one thing I do know for a fact is that salt, right? Salt is the food for neurons. It is the food for it. You can think of it in this way, right? You have a pen, right? You have a pen. Imagine there's a pen here. I don't have a pen with me. Just imagine there's a pen, right? In that pen, you have ink, right? Ink. And when you write words, whatever, you write anything. While writing, you have you would use the ink, right? The ink will be used up. But I think you've noticed one thing is that when your ink of your pen is full, right? It's full, it writes really well. You can think of that ink as your neurons, right? Your neurons, and the fuel for those neurons. And then the pen itself as being, your brain. So when you have salt, you're basically adding more ink to that pen. So you can write better, you can write more creative. And honestly speaking, from doing this for 2 weeks, almost 2 weeks, salt water really acts stronger than coffee. I'm gonna be honest right here. It worked better than coffee. So yeah, you can just try doing this. It may take a few days, but your writing will become very explosive. It'll come to life. It'll be way more enjoyable. Of course, another thing that comes a lot is that lots of people have talked about, seen a lot of writers talk about, even in programming or any other space, especially your environment. Your environment needs to be clean, is what it says. It needs to be clean. It needs to have X, Y, and Z. Honestly speaking, this advice is it works. That's the worst part. It works, but you don't need to get too complicated with it. That's what I'm trying to talk. You don't need to get that complicated. The main thing you need in an environment, the very main thing you will need, right, is a window. I have a window here. As you can see, there is actually a window here. The window will give you sunlight, right? It gives you sunlight to your eyes. This sunlight will trigger something in your brain. It will trigger the circadian rhythm, which will make you way more awake, right? This has been talked a lot more extensive in the Andrew Huberman podcast. At this point, I'll link in the description. I'll link it so you can check it out. It's an hour long. But anyway, this is some points that I've gathered from that podcast that will help. So going back, the sun will come to your eye, right? It'll come inside. When it comes inside of your eyes, right, the sunlight will just activate some photoreceptors in your eyes, right? And this will set the clock. You can think of it in this way, right? You have a brain, right? You can think of it as you have a computer, right? The time of the computer is not set by you, really. It's set by the internet. Right? It's automatic. You can think of the sunlight as calibrating the clock inside of you automatically. You don't need to do any manual configuration, nothing. It just works out of the box. This will in theory will help you write better because, well, I'm gonna be honest. If you're way more awake, you'll write better. You have more energy at your disposal. You're able to write really well. So you can think of it as like a potion. It's like a potion of strengthening from Minecraft. You know, it gives you a buff. Amazing. So to conclude the before writing part, right? To conclude it, salt water, you know, I have some salt water, a good diet, no junk food. You will need to also have a good environment, a decent enough, you know, open the window. That would be great. That would be amazing. Please do that. So you got those two. All right. That's basically the summary of it. Now moving on. While you're actually writing, right? Congratulations if you're writing though. Congratulations. You got the hard part done. You can now finally put your pen to the paper and start writing. You've written a few words, right? Written some words, I don't know, like there was once upon a time, whatever, right? But you're stuck. It's like you've grinded to a halt. You cannot move on. You cannot progress. You're stuck. Now this is totally fine. I gotta say, this is totally normal. This will happen. And here's some advice that I found, like 2 really unique advice that I'm pretty sure that no one has talked about. No one has talked about this from what I've seen on YouTube and stuff. First one is to stare. You're asking, what do you mean by stare? Yeah, stare. Stare at your writing. You're asking, what do I mean by staring at your writing? Just read your writing. Like, you know, not reread it, but read it. Right? Read it carefully. Read it so you take in the knowledge, right? You take it in, but you want to stare at it. This is advice that's robbed from programming. You know, in programming, you would do this. You would stare at your code when there's errors to see what went wrong. The same thing happens here. Now, before using the strategy of staring, right? I'm not telling you to stare directly. You need to implement this simple framework of what and why. What is the problem? Why is it happening? Okay? What and why. Let me show you this in action, right? So I wrote a poem like a few days ago, and honestly speaking, poems are really hard for me. I'm still getting used to them, trying my best. So here is one example I have. So I was stumped on this for a while. I'm gonna read it out for you. With the sun, it stays still. With the rain, it embraces. It doesn't frighten. No matter the circumstances, it has peace within. It is a tree. Very interesting poem. Now, I think you've noticed one major issue with this poem. If you have not, well, God bless you. It doesn't rhyme. It may have a flow, but it doesn't rhyme. You know, poem needs to rhyme. The poem ain't poeming. So here's the what, right? The what. What is the problem here? Poem isn't rhyming. Why isn't it rhyming? Why? Maybe because of the layout, you know? Maybe I need to add, you know, the AB principle, which basically means the first line has to rhyme with the third line and the second line has to rhyme with the fourth line. Maybe I have to implement that. So I'm guessing the reason might be because layout, right? Layout ain't good. Okay, so if the layout ain't good, then what do? Well, you have the what, you have the why. Stare at the writing. See what you can do. Start tweaking around, change some of the words around, see if it works, right? So when you change it around, you know, you change the layout, eventually you'll get a pretty good poem. Like, you eventually get a good poem. This is what happened after doing this. I in fact stared at my writing for 3 minutes on my phone to get it to rhyme. And this is what I got, right? So this is what I did. I changed stay still to brighten. I changed circumstances to state. I changed it is a tree to hyphen, the duty of a tree. Basically, I kicked it out of the poem because I could not figure out what to do. So I'm like, the layout is a problem, kick it out. So now, once you're done with this, what and why, this is what you'll get. With the sun, it brightens. The rain embraces. For it does not frighten. No matter the state, it has peace within. The duty of a tree. Of course, you could, you know, dwell on it longer. You can, like, you know, stare at it longer. You can try seeing what is the issue, what is the problem. Just, you know, you can stare at it longer. That works. However, I was outside while doing this and I was on my phone. And I already stared for 3 minutes. I don't want to stare any longer because I need to, do stuff. I need to walk to my bus stop. So I decided to call it a day because it matches my standards. So I call it a day. Post it on my blog actually. So you can check it out on my blog. I actually post 3 times a week. Link in description. Maybe you might learn something new there because I post some stuff that I don't really talk about on my YouTube channel. All right. The second way to overcome writing blocks, right? Second way. Look away. Maybe asking, what do I mean by look away? I mean, look away. Like, just randomly get out of your chair, just walk away. Or just look outside the window, the environment. If a window, look outside of it. Why, you may ask? Again, traces back to the Andrew Huberman podcast. He talked about this, right? When you look away randomly, not with a fixed time interval, maybe a fly came in, so you just looked away. Maybe someone came in the room, you looked away. When you look away, what ends up occurring is that in your brain, your neurons will play 90 times. They will play 90 times over the neurons that you use to write it. You're asking me, what does this mean? Like, how does it help, my writing? Like, how does it help? Here's an analogy for you. You have a phone, right? I have a phone right here. You have a phone. Now, on your phone, you have like that. When you open apps, you have that recent app drawer, like that multitasking where you can, swipe up, hold, and then you have some apps that appear. I'll show you on screen, like that one, right? Those are your recent apps. When you open an app, you would have those recent apps. And when you go back to those apps, it will load instantly, right? It will not buffer, it will not lag. It will just load instantly from memory. You think of the same thing is going on here, right? When you look away from your writing, you're playing 90 times over, your brain is taking that, oh, he's writing this. Okay, let's store it in our temporary memory. Let's store it in our short-term memory. So you walk away. The brain will then look through it, 90 times over, put it in your short-term memory. Then if you have watched the video creativity, what will end up occurring is that your creative mechanism will take over and then give you ideas to fix it. So of course, I've talked way more in depth about this creative mechanism in the video about creativity. As you can see, this video built off of that. This will allow you to write better, right? It will overcome the writing obstacles. And I've actually had personal experience with this. A fly came in the room while writing the script, right? Came in the room, pesky, annoying fly, it's annoying. Went to go kill it, right? Yeah, I had to kill it. And when I killed it, I came back. I was able to write better. I was able to write this video's outline way better. As you can see, it works because this video is here. Living evidence, this video, that, hey, looking away does work. And this, of course, will work in programming. In fact, in programming, you'll take it a step further. Instead of looking away, you'll go to sleep. Both works. So basically, to summarize this part, right? To summarize this while writing part, right? You start your writing when you're stuck. Use the what, why principle. What is the problem? Why is it happening, right? Second, look away. Look away randomly, go do something else, come back. You have more fresh ideas. Or you could also go to sleep. That works too. You're asking me, what writing blocks will you have after writing, right? There has to be some writing blocks that occur. There are. Editing. I don't like editing, really. I mean, video editing is alright. It's good, except when it crashes, it's annoying. When I'm talking about editing, I'm talking about writing. You need to edit your writing. Or in programming, you'll call it refactoring your code. It sucks. I have the principle of it works. But, in writing, that does not really work that well. You have to actually edit. Now, editing, I, of course, suck ass. I'm not good at editing. I'm still learning. So I have to make a separate video on when I actually do get some more information I can share with you. But here is one method or one technique I've been using, right? I've been using this for a while. I've been using this since I started writing. So when I started doing creative writing like a few weeks back, in fact, starting this month, I actually started creative writing. I use this technique, and let me tell you this. My writing went really good. It improved tremendously. It was leaps and bounds than my writing in high school. My writing in high school was awful, but the writing I'm doing now is way better. And this is a simple technique, right? It's gonna be slightly controversial, I know. Some of you are gonna hate this technique, and that is use ChatGPT. I know, crazy. Now you're screaming at me right now, you might be asking me, why ChatGPT? It's taking our jobs, it's ruining our jobs, it's ruining our future. I understand, but I have something to propose to you, right? Remember when the internet, like Amazon came along, like e-commerce came along, when Shopify came along? Remember when it came along? Right? Some shops, right? Some physical brick and mortar chains, right? And some of them refused to adapt. They refuse to adapt. They're like, no, I don't want to do this internet. I don't want to do it. No, I don't want to do it. Well, look at where they are right now. Bankrupt. Gotta tell it straight into your face. If you do not embrace AI, if you do not side with AI, if you do not use AI to your advantage, you're gonna end up like those stores. Gone. Replaced. You must understand it. So when it comes to writing, you should side with ChatGPT. If you can side with it, right? In fact, I suggest you just side with it completely. But when I say side with it, I don't say they have to copy one for what it says. No, don't do that. One of the things that I've been doing is when I will send my writing over to ChatGPT, I'll say, can you review my writing? Can you give me a grade? Can you tell me what feedback did you have? What suggestions can I have? What improvements can I make? Right? I asked ChatGPT for that. It'll come back, right? Come back with a really detailed report. It actually gives a really detailed report. I actually show it on screen. So detailed. Give you a grade, right? Because I asked for one. I'll tell you which areas you did good, which areas you did bad. And the best part is that you can ask it, can you elaborate more? Can you give examples for the areas I did not do bad, that I did not do good? It'll come back and say, okay, you should do this, do that. Right? It'll give you some guidance, it'll give you some outlines, but this guidance and outlines is amazing. In fact, I've used it to write the outline for this video. I've actually given this outline to ChatGPT to tell it to review it. And it told me, can you add more real life examples? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And a bunch of them. So I included it here. As you can see, the outline for this video went way better because I used ChatGPT to help me. Of course, some of you will not like this idea. You know, I understand some of you will not like the idea of using ChatGPT or AI. I understand it, but for the sake of you, because I care about you, I want you to side with it. I want you to try it. Because if you choose to be a lone wolf in this scenario, right? You do not work with ChatGPT, you go against it, you ain't gonna survive long, honestly. From what I've seen, you ain't gonna survive long. Whereas if you side with it, if you incorporate it into your writing, you'll become way better. You actually excel ChatGPT. Because ChatGPT has a major flaw of that it cannot think on its own. It doesn't have that ability. It still relies on a human to think, right? So you still have an advantage. Your advantage that you can think. You have creativity, you have authenticity. ChatGPT doesn't have that. But then ChatGPT can probably write better than you. So word of thought, combine them together. Combine yourself with the ChatGPT, work together. Maybe you might be able to create some amazing writing and be able to overcome writing blocks when you're doing editing. Now, bonus. I'm asking, what do you mean by bonus? Yeah, I have a bonus for you, because I'm that cool. So writing blocks, one of the best ways to overcome writing blocks is practicing. Practice makes perfect. You've probably heard of that 1,000 times. But I guarantee you want to get better, you need to practice, right? So, how do you get better? Well, come to my blog. On my blog, I post 3 times a week, right? I post 3 times a week. And on each week, I post a random topic. Post a random thing. I find an interesting prompt. I write based on that prompt. Now, include in the bottom, right? When you go to my blog, you will scroll all the way down. You can see original writing prompt. You can click it. You can see where I got my writing prompt from. And then you can write as well. So you can write alongside with me. Not only that, on my blog, I also post stuff like how to live better. Yeah, I post philosophy stuff on my blog too. I post stuff that helps you write better. I don't include in these videos. I don't include them because they're only a few minutes long. Why would I include them in my videos? But when you come to my blog, you actually get value. I guarantee it, you will get value. Of course, if you find some of my blog materials awful, leave a comment telling me why you found it awful so I can see it why. I hope this video honestly helps you. I hope that it helps you overcome writing blocks in the 3 stages, right? Before writing, while writing, after writing, and also the bonus, work with ChatGPT. I hope it can help you. I hope it can help you write better, honestly speaking. I want to see you guys write better. I want to see you guys improve. And well, as always, keep writing, and I'm rooting for you. Peace.